this one I call turquoise stones, and we're going to kind of have some different textures and leave these heavier so they stick out like turquoise stones. So we're going to start by doing our background, and you want to use a bigger piece. You don't want a real small piece for these. And I'm going to be using copper and gold for my background, and I've warmed up my stipple brushes in my colors. So I'm going to come in and just apply different areas how I want it to go, and then I'm going to fill it in with my gold. And if your gold's been setting for a while, stir it just a tad, because the heavier sparkly parts sets to the bottom. And there is no right way or wrong way, however you want to kind of do it. I'm going to put a little bit of gold on that side right there. Just make sure you have all of your gourd piece covered up. Okay, we're going to go and melt all that and make our base color. And we're going to start on the outside first, because the outside takes the longest to warm up, and then on the middle. And if you want to move that around, you can. Blow it a certain way, you can. I don't want my gold taking over. Okay, and I kind of probably got it a little bit warmer than I should have to have some of that copper shine through, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and put some black into this now, and we're going to do that with our texture brush and our insert. And if you've never worked with a texture brush and insert, there is a video that is just how to use a texture brush and insert. It's a real good one to watch. We're just going to place this on top of our melting pot and put a crayon just with a little bit across the top. You do not want anything in your melting pot. You want it empty when you place that just right on top. So once we've done that, you're going to let your brush warm up just a second, and then we're going to come back and we're going to put this right on top, and that's still warm. We want to make sure it's nice and cool first, and we're just going to come in and put some black here and there and give it more of a rock type look to it as well, and not too much, but you got to make sure that that's cool. And I'm kind of using the side of my brush. Okay, and I'm going to leave that, and we'll melt that when we're melting our stones. And I'm going to use turquoise color. You can either use a turquoise crayon, a robin's egg, or you can make your own with blue, green, and white. And we're going to apply this with our eyedropper, and we're going to kind of make bigger stones. And you don't want them circular. You want them in different shapes. They don't look really real when you kind of make them circles. And we're kind of building them up a little bit so they're not just flat. And however you see the turquoise being on your piece, there is, again, no right or wrong to this. It's just your interpretation of it. We don't want to overdo it either, but yes, we want enough on there. Okay, so I've got my stones on, and I'm going to be using black, and I'm going to use my zero tool here, and I'm going to probably use a smaller end because these are a little bit smaller. So we're going to warm it up in our wax while these finish cooling off. If you have never used the wax tools, there's a real good basic video on my website at miriamjoy.com, how to do the basics, and that's a real good one to watch because we have to always warm up our tools. Now I'm just going to take and I'm going to just kind of come around this, and I don't want to go all the way around it. We're just kind of coming, and that one was a little bit warmer. I should have let him dry a little bit longer. Try and get the ones that weren't put on first. So we're just coming around these, not quite the whole way. And again, there's no right or wrong. Just how I do it and how you do it. This is just my idea. And you really need the black to make the rest of it stick out. Stand out. And you see why we don't go back into it. It just kind of has the melted part. Now, there's something else we're going to do here to make them more like rock looking. We're going to put some color onto them, and I'm going to use a Q-tip to do this. I'm going to use a little bit of my copper, just a tad, and I got way too much wax on there. And we're just going to dab it here and there. You don't have to hit every one. We're just going to do some of those. And then I'm going to do the same thing again with white wax. And we're just kind of breaking up the stone. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come over and heat it now. Remember, we're going to heat this just a tad, and we're going to heat the stones just a little bit till they start to melt, especially the black part. But we want to leave them not too melted so that the stones don't the turquoise part doesn't settle back into the wax. So okay, we've just lightly done that, and that is really all we want to do. We don't want to do too much more than that. Another thing I did do, it looks like with this, is I put some little black lines in. And how I do that is, if you think you need the lines, I take my hobby knife and I put it into my wax and I warm it up, and then I just draw those right in. And we'll see if we can get a couple of those little bit here. You probably should have your wax kind of cool, and that'll kind of make lines. Now my wax is a little bit warmer than I would like it, but we'll do a couple anyway. Just so you can get the idea of that, whether you use that or not with the piece, that is up to you. But also by adding the lines, it makes it a little bit more rocky looking, or like a stone. So let's melt those just a tad, and I'm trying to stay off the stones. Okay, so we've got that all done. And I'm going to stop that just like that. And we're going to let this cool back down, and then we're going to come and we're going to put our finish on top of it. Okay, now that our piece is cooled, we're going to come in here and we're going to remove all of the wax on the sides. It's real important to remove that. You don't want any there, so it doesn't affect how we put on our suede lacing, as well as we're not going to put any finishing over this. I want to keep this nice and clean. So we remove all of that wax. And then what I do is I come back and I scrape, kind of just turning your knife in just a little bit. And what that's going to do is allow for the finish to come to the edges, so we make sure that we get a nice good seal on our piece. We want to make sure that we have that sealed real nice all the way around the edge. I'm going to use the Mod Podge Dimensional Magic. This is a product that we do carry. It is a harder product, so it protects the wax underneath the finish. And it's made to use a lot of it, and we're not going to shake it because it causes bubbles. And so we're going to put this on first. Then unfortunately we can't put it all at once because it runs off. So we're going to start by putting it closer to the edge, not right on the edge. And we're going to use our brush, and we're going to get clear to the edge, and we're actually going to go over it just a tad, so we make sure that we get that seal all the way around. And that's real important. We want to make sure that we have that seal all the way around our piece. Now, once you work that all the way around, we're going to come back and we're going to put more in here. And it's better to have too much than not enough, especially with these bigger pieces. And we're going to just use our brush to spread this around a little bit. We're not actually going to brush it real hard. We're just kind of moving it around. Make sure you get your stones really covered well. And with the stones, you want even more of this finish on there to make sure that we've covered them really well. If you see your brush strokes, you do not have enough on it, and go back and put more on it. If you have any run down the side, you want to take that part off. We want to do at least, on this I would probably do 5 coats instead of just 3. I would do a minimum of 5 coats. If it's going to be something that's going to be worn in the sun, I would test it to make sure that it's sealed nice and well, that it doesn't move on you, because we've got such big layers of wax. Now we're going to let this dry and go ahead and put our other layers on, and then we're going to come back and we're going to finish up our necklace.